Hey everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy, and I went ahead and decided to go ahead and go on and do Hey everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy, and that's right, I decided to go ahead and continue on down this path with the remake of Last House on the Left. It came out in 2009. That was like almost a year for remakes. There was the Friday the 13th remake, and then the next year, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Well, we won't talk about that, okay? That's a sore subject, okay? So let's talk about the Last House on the Left remake. Now, I'll be honest with you. The first time I saw this movie, I enjoyed it. I thought, it had a nice production value, all that sort of thing. But it just didn't have the effectiveness of the original. It didn't leave the same mark that the original had left on me after I walked out of the movie. And I was like, oh, they could have did better, but they didn't. Something, I don't know. I have no idea. So then, obviously, I rented it when it came out on, DVD. Point of the story is I was basically lukewarm back in 2009 when this first came out. And, I've seen it here and there over the past several years. But it had been a while, just like it had been a while since the last time I watched the original. So I had picked up the Arrow version of the original, and then I had the regular old Blu-ray of the remake laying around. So I popped it. Frank, you want to stop making so much noise over there? Huh? Appreciate it. It's your little gremlin ears. Anyway, I had popped in the regular old Blu-ray of the remake of The Last House on the Left, and I might have enjoyed it more this time than I have. Like, as much enjoyment as you could get out of a rape revenge movie. So anyway, they changed a lot about this movie, but I guess you would because, the first one was really kind of primitive. You just had this house and, Mary was going off to the big city for her birthday, and her parents were planning her a surprise birthday. Well, I don't know how much of a surprise birthday party it was. But in this one, it's just these people, are going to their summer home. And Mary's a big-time swimmer, and she had just recently lost her brother, whereas in the original, it was just Mary and her family, and her and Phyllis go off to the city, like I said. And then they run into Junior, who, it's weird because Junior in the original, he was, hooked on the schmack, controlled by Krug, to have him go out and do things. Whereas in this one, Mary goes off to see Paige. I don't know why they had to change her name. I guess, who names their kid Phyllis anymore? But anyway, she goes off to see Paige, who, the first couple times I watched this, like I said, I really didn't care for her character. I mean, I saw her as what's her name in Superbad, but now that I haven't seen Superbad in so long, and now I can associate her with this movie instead of Superbad, they seem like because do you have any idea? Because in the original, it was 1972, and there was a certain way people acted and portrayed themselves in the 70s as opposed to 2009. So it's like, okay, you get what I'm saying, right? So anyway, that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say is Junior is completely different. Like, because at least Mary and Paige have some similarities. They're both girls. Whereas Junior was this frog-looking motherfucker. And now you got this handsome Justin. But just like in the original, Justin tells him, I overheard your conversation. I know where you can get some primo. So, they're like, oh, okay. Even though Mary, she's not that interested. She's a swimmer now. She doesn't smoke that stuff. So they go back to the hotel with Justin, just like in the original. Junior takes him back to, it's not really a hotel. It's just like an abandoned apartment in New York or something. I don't know. I have no idea, to be perfectly honest with you. Except in this one, they are smoking the reefer and they're having a good time. They're having a good time until Krug and Frank and Sadie come back. And before we get back to that part, I want to go back to the beginning of the movie, the introduction to Krug and Frank. I didn't necessarily care for it. It's not bad. It's not like it's bad. I just, something about how simple the original introduction, where you hear the radio broadcast and you just see them walking down the street, and I believe it was Wes Craven's son holding a balloon, and he pops the balloon with a cigar, and talking about him being on the run from killing a priest and 2 nuns, whereas we don't really know what the hell this guy, they might have said it, but I wasn't paying attention, but he's in the back of the car, and then they ram the car, and then a car ramrod. Point is, it was just, oh well. So back at the hotel, we have a bit of a problem, because they've made the front page. And before they make the front page, Sadie walks in, like, God, this is disturbing. So back to the fucking hotel, okay? We're at the hotel, and this really bothers me. This bothered me the first time, and it still bothers me because it makes no sense. And I'm all about looking at some titties. I don't mind looking at some titties. Hell, even these titties ain't that bad to look at. But it's like, why would you just walk into a hotel room fucking wearing these stupid ass fucking, what are they, fucking bibbed overalls, and then, take your shirt off and just put another shirt back on in front of a bunch of strangers. I get it. You're supposed to be this carefree criminal that just does whatever because you're fucking psycho or something. But it's just, I don't know. It just aggravates me whenever there's like unnecessary. And I know there's a lot of people out there that say there's no such thing as unnecessary nudity. Well, sometimes there is. It's like, don't just take your shirt off for no reason, especially like in front of the boy. I mean, I'm sorry. I maybe there's people out there like that just take their titties out right in front of their stepson. I don't know. But that always bothered me in this movie, okay? And it bothered me. Not that I didn't mind looking at them. It's just like, what the fuck's the point? If you're gonna do it, make there be a fucking point to it. Nobody's gonna fucking realistically walk into a fucking hotel room, notice there's 2 strange girls that she's never seen before, and her fucking lover's son sitting there and just be like, here's my titties. Oh, let me put another shirt back on. It's like, what were you doing that you got so sweaty that you had to go change your shirt anyway? I'm sorry, everybody. I don't know where the hell that came from. I just wanted to get that off my chest. So, as you would, they made the front fucking page. So it's bad because there's Mary and Paige, and now they're witness to, here's these criminals. But luckily, Mary's got this SUV that they could really use, and she says, hey, you can have it. But unfortunately, they take them with them because they don't believe them, that they won't say a word to anybody. And then, we're right back where we were in the original, where, except instead of putting them in the trunk like they did in the original, they let them ride up front. And everything's sort of going fine until Mary realizes that she's getting close to the last house on the left, which is her house. She sees her mailbox, which is kind of reminiscent to the mailbox in the original, because there's a mailbox to let you know that that's where the house is. For fuck's sakes. What was I talking about? So yeah, as you would, there's a cigarette lighter. She pushes the cigarette lighter in. She causes a car accident, and then they don't get away. So the car accident aftermath is basically the scene where they finally get to the woods in the original and they start to do their thing. Well, there isn't really much of the disturbing. I mean, there's disturbing aspects to it, but I feel the original, this section of the movie was far more disturbing and far more realistic. Whereas this one, it was just like, I don't know. I don't know. There was something natural about the original Frank and Krug and Sadie and how they were fucking believable as these fucking people. Whereas watching this one, it's like I can kind of tell I'm watching actors perform a controversial type scene. I don't know what I'm talking about. But, you know, it's just more effective in the original to me. Now, of course, there is the whole rape scene, which is horrible. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. But, I mean, I don't even know how the hell you talk about this shit, okay? But anyway, the stuff happened, all right? And now, here comes the storm. You know, Mary had, you know, they sent Mary off after they do their thing, and she tries to get away. This is where her whole swimming thing comes in. She almost gets away, whereas, you know, she's swimming real fast, but somehow he still manages to get her, which, that's the other thing. You know, she dies in the original, but in this one, she survives. She does make it back to her house, but before she does, Krug and company show up on the doorstep, and it's raining, and being the hospitable people they are, the doc invites them in, and, you know, they tend to Frank's wound because he busts his nose open, which that's a scene that they didn't have in the original that I highly enjoy. You know, and this is where the movie actually kind of gets better than the original, in my opinion. I don't know. Like, it never really was that way before, but watching it now, just, I don't know. It still kind of bothers me. It softens the blow, the fact that Mary survives this one, but the stuff they do to Frank and Krug and Sadie. I mean, Sadie's death's pretty cool, but like the shit they do to Frank, and then the shit they do to Krug is just, you know, that's why I'm so glad that they happened to remake this. But there's just something about this movie. This movie's missing something. I think my biggest complaint really is Sadie. The whole time, she does nothing but aggravate the shit out of me. And as fucked up as it is to say, and I'm fully aware of how fucked up this is to say, she's not nearly as charming as Sadie was in the original. As, you know, charming as a fucking sadist or what? Sadist. Anyway, don't fucking worry about that, all right? Worry about the fact that, you know, this movie is not nearly as bleak, okay? There it is. It's not as bleak as the original. Does that make it better? Does that make it worse? I don't know. I'm not to say. But as far as remakes go, this, you know, is a pretty solid remake. It does enough different to not be copying the original. And, you know, it stands on its own. Like, if I had never known the original existed, I, you know, probably wouldn't have a problem at all with this movie. I'd love it to death. I mean, I kind of do love it to death, even though it's about what it's about. It's just, you know, sometimes we need things to make us feel feelings, because feelings makes us feel alive, and there's nothing like feeling alive. Other than that, you know, fuck your feelings. Nobody cares. I have no idea anymore, everybody, fuck. So, as it stands by itself, I'd give this movie a solid 9 out of 10. The only points I take off are really for fucking Sadie, you know, because this is basically as good as it's going to get with a modern retelling. Now, if anybody was ever to go and make the original Last House on the Left and have it take place back in the 70s, sometimes that's what I wish they would do with remakes. Just keep it in the same time period. You know, just use a better camera. It doesn't look like, you know, I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is if you like this, I need you to like this video, subscribe. It's somewhere. There's a thing that's popping up, all right? And to do these things, I command you, or at least I'm asking you very nicely, please. also there's a Patreon thing. But I gotta go, okay? Because otherwise, I'm just gonna sit here and ramble on for another 20 minutes, not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about. So if you would,